Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome and welcome back to So Floor, the official gathering place for newbies, novices, and OG diehard fans of the golden age of primetime. I'm your host, Jet, still viewing and reviewing Miss Sophia Setia's primetime storyline from 1981. So whether you're new to this or true to this, sit back and enjoy. Tell the kids it's time to play outside or out of sight. Tell babe no questions, suggestions, or concerns for the next 25 to 35 minutes. Everyone else in earshot, you can be cool, quiet, or absolutely kicked out because we are watching our stories. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is So Floor. Hello, gorgeous. Welcome and welcome back to another fun-filled edition of So Floor. I hope your day is shaping up well. Ooh, I ain't gonna lie, I'm over here fist fighting sleep, almost to the point where this feels unnatural. Kind of rewound my day back and was like, did somebody slip me something? I don't think that's it. I think it's just the ember months. It is a more relaxing time, sort of. Got that cozy, fun feeling. But yeah, the time has come for us to watch Dallas. This episode it's interesting, and I hope by the end of the episode, you guys can help me come up with the name for this. Go ahead and pour yourself up something bubbly and bright as we jump into season 5, episode 2 of Dallas, Gone but Not Forgotten. Before we get into today's episode, I want to touch on this piece of fan mail I got. Shout out to you, Oregon. Really interesting tidbits and a piece of information that was so disturbing, I got really upset. Also, I think I know why I'm so sleepy. Dynasty. That's why. Dynasty made me do it. As we speak, your girl is in the finest pair of satin pajamas Amazon gift cards could buy. I am silky. I'm chilling on my bed with the warmest blanket. Got my can of non-alcoholic champagne. It's just something about lotioning up, putting on some silk. Well, they're not silk, they're satin. You know what I'm saying? My budget calls for satin, but I'm getting there. Satin PJs. I feel real regal. I feel wonderful. I just feel a little bit too relaxed. So I may need to put on something else, a stiffer shirt or something, so that I can get through this. But let me read y'all this little tidbit. Thank you, Oregon, for this. I meant to talk about this on the Knots Landing episode and the Falcon Crest episode. Just time got away from me. Wasn't able to do so. But apparently, John Plachette, aka Richard Avery, is married currently to Dallas and Knots Landing series creator David Jacobs' ex-wife, Lynn. So this woman was once upon a time Lynn Jacobs. She ends up marrying John Plachette. How would you feel about that? Think of it this way. Yes, it's probably upsetting. Now, I don't know the circumstances of them being together. If, she was divorced and then she looks over her shoulder and like, hey, you're kind of cute, and things happen. I don't really know. But the ex-husband has to feel a little bit of a way. If I were him, I definitely would. But also, how would you feel if you were this writer? You had this beautiful brainchild about a story about people in varying stages in a marriage. There's a European show about it. It works. You kind of tweak it for American audiences. And what do you know? It's a smash hit. Hell, 40 years later, there's going to be some random woman reviewing this stuff on something called a podcast. It's amazing. It has a legacy. Part of that legacy is a character named Richard Avery, which you helped create, only to have that dude marry your ex-wife. Did you write that in? I thought that was so interesting, considering what the tone and texture is for Knots Landing and understanding that what it was based off of. I wonder if the creator, maybe he was going through it. Him and his wife are going through that. You sprinkle a little bit of that into a storyline. Whatever the creative control is for the creators, I'm not really sure, but that's so interesting. So he sort of hooked his wife up with one of the people in his imagination. That's crazy. The Falcon Crest tea is especially validating. Not that I feel like I needed to be validated, but it makes me very happy to know I wasn't off. Like I'm not looking too deeply into this. Sometimes I'm like, girl, where's your mind going? I be knowing stuff sometimes though. I really do. So you remember when we discussed the entire season of Falcon Crest, it felt very different. Like it was two seasons, they just sort of slammed them together to see what would happen. There's a reason it felt so wonky like that. The Nazi treasure storyline was supposed to be a major plot point for season 4. Indiana Chase and the Vineyards of Doom. I thought this was going to be a whole blockbuster type season. However, CBS forced producers to wrap up the story prematurely due to viewers' backlash and criticism. For someone like me who has this, not an obsession, but a curiosity, cost of living of a go, how they sort of lived in the time that came before us, I often forget how close 1940 was to 1980. I know we've talked about this before, but it's not something that's permeating in my mind because in my head, the times are so vastly different. Like if you look at 1940, 1950, that's not crazy different. The 30s from the 40s isn't just crazy different. I mean, there's a little bit more technology, but by and large, their lives aren't drastically different than their parents and grandparents. You know what I'm saying? But the men and women who would have served during World War II, I mean, they would be late 50s. They're still young. They're still young, strong, probably a major part of the audience. Did nobody want to see that? That is so interesting. So they abruptly cut it off about episode 10, which didn't really feel like Falcon Crest, but I'm like, okay, whatever, let's go with it. Apparently I wasn't the only one who thought that way. This part is so upsetting to me. This is probably one of the worst things I've ever read. Oregon, how dare they? The producers of Falcon Crest considered killing off the aviator Adonis at the end of season 2, as Robert Foxworth was not happy with the role. He complained about the series drifting away from its original vineyard concept. He was convinced to stay after he was offered a chance to direct some of the show's episodes. Here's the thing, season 2 is right when they brought in Jacqueline, so it makes me wonder if Julia's bullet was supposed to hit Chase originally. I find this argument from him a little bit premature. I can't ever think of a time on Falcon Crest where it wasn't about the wine, but I'm very, very curious to know now what the original like table reading was, what the pitch was when all the actors joined the cast. I can't imagine it being any more engulfed in grapes and wine. Who wants to watch people labor all day? Nobody watches that for an hour unless you're building a house, extreme home makeover or something like that. But what are we going to be talking about? How do I say this? If the storyline isn't revolving around a vineyard, I really don't know what else is revolving around. Absolutely, there's these soapy aspects, but season 2, I don't feel like they got away from the original vibe of the show. But by season 4, I can kind of see where he would be coming from, but it doesn't matter. Thank God they let him get behind the camera. I'd actually like some more tea on him. I think I'm going to look into him a little bit more. I heard he lived in Houston. But as fine as he is to me, I feel like he might have been a little bit difficult to work with. He gives off that vibe, not as in like hateful or mean or anything, but just super serious. He's one of those thespians. Thespians, they take the craft super, super serious. Okay, this next part, oh, just listen. Ana Alicia, Melissa, hoped the writers would have her character have an affair with Chase. How you gonna be a bad girl on and off the camera? Have an affair with your baby daddy's daddy? I get it because it's Chase to your birdie, but part of me is like, girl, that's scandalous, but also, girl, can you imagine? There's no coming back from that, though. There's no reconciliation. Hook up with the random cousin, that's fine. Hook up with his best friend, but his daddy? Girl, she was out here. I wonder what her thoughts were behind. Well, no, I don't wonder what her thoughts are. I know exactly what her thoughts were, and I'm here for it, girl. William R. Moses was the first choice for Lance Compson. Girl, bye. Can you imagine Cole's brooding, rump, rump, rump face as Lance? Compson? I don't see it happening. All right, I'm gonna save the rest for a little bit later because I need to look into one of the shows they're telling me about. But thank you so much. If you guys have any tea or any tidbits you think I might be interested in, hit your girl up. If you're listening to this on your mobile device, you can check the show notes and send me a text. Now, I can't respond to the text via a text, but I will always respond to you on air. You can also reach out to me the new old fashioned way via email at soaplorepodcast@gmail.com. That's soaplorepodcast@gmail.com. Love hearing from you, and I promise I will write you back real, real good. Oh man, I can't shake it. Gosh, I would have hated. I think I probably might have stopped watching. If I'm so dramatic. Give me a break. I'm a Leo. But if he had gotten shot down and died at the end of season 2, I would have been terribly upset. Also, having him hook up with his son's wife, baby mother, is diabolical. But so is having your baby sister hook up with your baby daddy. Let's jump into this episode of Dallas, shall we? I love it when at the beginning of one season they wrap up the previous season's storyline, any sort of loose ends. Let's just get rid of this so we can start fresh, or let's build upon it. In the case of the wonderful juggernaut that is Dallas, we need to figure out what happened to bad girl Kristen. Did she plummet to her death accidentally, or was she shoved over the side of a very low balcony by none other than J.R. Ewing? I myself personally didn't feel like JR was a killer, but accidents happen. Also, that railing was so dumb low, it's like it would hit you at the shins. You got too close, you're bound to flip over that anyway. That's neither here nor there. At the top of the episode, we see a land yacht of biblical proportions. It's not just a big old long Lincoln, it's a big old long Lincoln limousine in a silver bullet color. Now, I had the audacity, ladies and gentlemen, to fix my mouth to say, gee, I guess there were only 7 or 8 colors in the 80s. And the right side of my brain, or the Lord, or somebody said, Jet, what is that? What is that millennial gray color? Gray tan, gray tan. I'm like, okay, I get it. Every era has this look about it. It's very distinctive. Yeah, they love that sort of orange or silver, deep chocolate brown, those sort of colors for cars back in the day. You don't see them as much anymore. You don't see very many mustard yellow cars, neither here nor there. The limousine is not J.R. Ewing like I thought. It is Sue Ellen Ewing, her new boo, and his daddy. These men are being so protective, so wonderful with this very delicate woman in this time. Now, you got to think about where Sue Ellen's coming from. She has had her name splashed all over the tabloids, all over the front page, all over Dallas, Texas, accused of shooting her husband, who, I mean, by and large deserved it, only to be not necessarily acquitted because she was never formally charged. But you have to kind of wonder if the rumor mill in Dallas is still like, well, I think she shot him, because nobody else knows that Kristen shot him other than jowl face sheriff at this point. Or at least he knows there was some sort of confession, something to that effect. She's been through the ringer is what I'm trying to point out. She's seen it all. She's done it all. She finally gave up on life. I'm just going to be a mother, only to have her paramour come back from the dead. She saw an opportunity and she took it. Ran away to San Angelo, had her sister-in-law, who's never been super cool with her, kidnap her son, bring the baby out to her. Only to get a visit from her current cheating, lying husband. Not just to woo her back, not just to threaten her with divorce and whatever else, but to announce to her that her baby sister, who he knocked up allegedly, died night previous. I can't even imagine what this woman is going through. Somebody wrote the heck out of Sue Ellen. I have never, not for one moment, been disappointed. You just escaped a toxic marriage. You escaped with your baby. You happen to fall into the arms of a man who's just as, if not more powerful, than the man you were married to. You should be able to take a deep breath, but no. Just realize your baby sister, who you probably love and hate equal parts, has died. So as Sue Ellen and let's call them Daddy Dustin and Dusty, are walking into the courthouse, Sue Ellen is apologizing for dragging them all the way from San Angelo. I don't know why Dallas insists on pretending like San Angelo is 800 miles from Dallas. It's not that far. It's not that far. But she feels bad, and they're like, don't worry, girl. Absolutely, we're going to be here for you. How's everything going with the funeral planning? Well, she says, my mama wants Kristen buried in Albuquerque. Mama is so beside herself. She's probably sedated. I know they used to sedate women quite a bit back in the day. Her doctor says she can't fly out. They're going to bury her in Albuquerque. Sue Ellen's going to take the baby to the service. She wants to be on the plane with her. It is what it is. So she's walking into the courtroom thinking about her dead sister, about to hear some details. And the first thing she hears when the door is open is a very professional, probably Harvard trained lawyer saying, now you said she was high as a kite. What does that mean? Come on, y'all. It's obviously JR on the stand. So Cliff had already gone on the stand and he gave his rendition of what happened. I showed up. I saw Kristen in the pool. She was already dead. I jumped in to save her, says Cliff. Yeah, that's about it. They ask if JR was there. He goes, yeah, he was upstairs. They go, well, who called the ambulance? Cliff says, I called the ambulance. There was a phone by the pool. I jumped out, called the ambulance. Was JR downstairs by that point? Yes, he was. So JR is on the stand and he says, Kristen showed up to the house and she looked a hot mess. He said, now she usually was very, she was a fashion icon. She usually had her stuff together, but she looked run over. I don't know what was going on. She looked disheveled and whatnot going on. She was acting crazy. And the lawyer says, well, you went to answer the phone. He goes, yeah, well, my wife ran off with my son. That's no secret that my wife was run off and left me. He was probably only saying that part because Sue Ellen just walked in with her new boo and his daddy. The judge is like, dude, stay on topic. What's that got to do with anything? JR's point is, well, I didn't care what she was doing because I was expecting a phone call about my kids. So yeah, I mean, I didn't say she was going to kill me. I just said she looked crazy. Lawyer asked if he tussled with her, if anything happened. He's like, no, next time I saw her, she was face down in the pool. Cliff Barnes was down there with her. He then throws in the little caveat that he went and took a polygraph test. Now, this is not admissible in court. So the judge tells the jury to strike that from the record, but it doesn't matter. The damage is done. Cliff knows what he just did. The other lawyer guy knows what he just did. By putting that statement out there that no, I didn't tussle with her and I even passed the polygraph test that'll prove that I didn't, the seed is already planted. So people are going to look at you in a more favorable light, even if they're not supposed to remember you said that. So the toxicology guy comes out, and the long and short of it is that he feels like she was on PCP. Yeah. She had angel dust in her system. He goes on to say that this probably caused a hallucination. People were known at this time to go jumping off the side of buildings and whatnot. It can make you depressed, all this. So he says that it was an accident. This girl tripped over a balcony. She hit her head on the side of the pool, fell into the pool and drowned, but she was unconscious. Pam is hearing this for the first time, not loving it. Bobby's hearing it. He seems to be dealing with it a little bit better, but Sue Ellen hearing this, it's a kick in the diaphragm. It hurts real, real, real bad. It's just absolutely devastating in every way. I guess the whole point of this is that Cliff and JR are no longer pointing the finger at each other, although I get the feeling JR is not telling 100% the truth because he was he was still holding his bourbon. When Cliff was like, help, help, he's looking up at him. He was holding his bourbon. It reminds me of that scene in Coming to America where Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall beat the crap out of Samuel L. Jackson for trying to rob McDowell's. And Jerry Curl Darrell comes over. He was like, yeah, I would have helped both of y'all, but I had a milkshake in my hand. Something like that. Like JR couldn't jump in the pool. He's like, man, I had to answer the phone and I was holding a glass of bourbon. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't help. That clears that storyline out of the way a little bit, and it frees up the inevitable showdown between JR and Sue Ellen. She's having a real, real rough time. No matter how slutty her little sister was, that's still your little sister. Cliff can't catch a break. So he leaves the court proceedings. Okay, I'm not going to jail. JR's not going to jail. It's pretty sucks that she died, but I got a job to attend to. So he goes over to Westar because he was promised a job if he could nail JR to the cross. Now, he did everything in his power, and unbeknownst to him, sweet little sister Afton had him drugged so that JR could get his hands on the court findings, blase, blase. So Cliff goes to Westar to meet with JR's banker dude friend, whose name escapes me at the moment. The guy tells him in not so many terms, I offered you a job. Yes, I offered you a job when I thought you could bring JR down, but you didn't. And quite frankly, I'm not going to pay you to be a loser on my payroll. He's harsh, but he's real. Cliff is like, well, somebody, I don't know who, gave JR all of the evidence. So, I mean, how is that my fault? How is that my fault? Even his little brother thinks he did all these things. How is this my problem? The guy's like, I don't know what to tell you, homie, but it's not my problem. And you're not my problem. You're definitely not on my payroll. So, good day, sir. Mr. Wendell, that's his name. Mr. Wendell still has a grudge. I'm glad that they're bringing him back up because it's not like I had forgotten about him, but what more could he do? It seems he still has a bone to pick with JR. We're only 2 episodes into this season. I can only imagine what that's going to turn into. The bulk of this episode is about Sue Ellen and JR. So JR's in Dallas, putting all things in motion. His only goal is to snatch that baby back. It don't even really seem like he cares about Sue Ellen one way or another. Plus, word's already out on the street. Women are showing up to his job to interview for secretary jobs, only like they want to sleep with him. He's already got that reputation. He don't really care about Sue Ellen, but don't take my son. I bet it's more of a possession thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not oh, I'm so in love, I can't live without my kid. I'm sure that's some of it, but it's more of he is mine. He belongs to me, and you can't have what belongs to me. He's willing to go to great lengths to get the kid back, even hiring a PI. Now, the PI is a man I've seen a million times before. I had never seen him this young. I'm not going to look up his name, but I wanted to talk really quickly about the lawyer on this episode, an actor by the name of Lane Smith. I know you've seen, he was in Happy Gilmore. No, was he in Happy Gilmore? He was in the Mighty Ducks. He was the other lawyer in My Cousin Vinny. He's always either a lawyer, a mayor, or a villain. His IMDb reads like villain, villain, super villain, mayor, lawyer, lawyer, bad lawyer, racist lawyer, super villain, super racist mayor, etc., etc. You can see his face, you be like, oh, that's exactly right. I think he's also funny. He played Richard Nixon once or twice and some other stuff. Anyway, I saw him and immediately thought, dang, I don't think I've ever not seen you in the exact same role. But Hollywood's a small town, you can be typecast. Typecast people get paid. Okay, it's also very clear that they're building up this whole Pam needs a baby and a baby quick thing. She's chilling poolside with Bobby, and she's just kind of out of it. She almost seems like she's high or something. She's not drinking any mommy juice. I don't see anything around her, but she is so depressed about this here baby. Bobby says, and babe, why don't you take like a year off? We'll get all the best doctors. We'll just really focus on your womb and all your care, and let's see about getting pregnant. She's like, dude, I can even fathom the thought of being 3 months pregnant and losing another baby. I refuse to do it. But it's starting to weigh really heavily on her. So they're clearly setting this up for something. And I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. I believe Jesse Metcalf, I'm assuming that's Bobby and Pam's son. I'm assuming. I know he's on the new Dallas, which I've never seen, but he's on there. He's dark-headed like them. I'm assuming that's who that is. We'll see how he gets here, one way or another. Back to Sue Ellen and him. Unbeknownst to Sue Ellen, there is a PI watching her every single move at the Sacred Cross in San Angelo, Texas. Unbeknownst to her, but not necessarily unbeknownst to Dusty and Dusty's daddy. They're on to JR. Like I said, they are just as rich, they are just as powerful, they have just as many resources, and they're not afraid to use them. JR, on the other hand, is not going to rest. He's on his Kris Jenner, and he thinks, okay, what other woman can I exploit? None other than his second favorite somebody's sister to sleep with, singer Afton. Yes, that's right. Afton is getting around. She is so indebted to and grateful to have J.R. Ewing in her life. After all, he gave her a singing career. She got a used apartment. She is a lounge singer extraordinaire. I guess she's blowing up in Dallas. It doesn't seem like it, but she's comfortable nonetheless. So he's like, hey, you think you can make me feel better, honey? Honestly, I think the only reason the scene is in here is so that the audience can be reminded that Afton was the one who okey-doke Cliff, knocked him out or whatever, so that those papers appeared in JR's lap. JR is very depressed in this scene. This seems to be one of the first times I can recall seeing him be vulnerable. He misses the baby. It seems like in this scene he's actually thinking about that. I still feel like it's more of a possession thing, like you just not gonna get one over on me. That's my baby. But he goes over with the intention of hooking up with Afton, only he gets so depressed. In doing so, he reminds the audience how all of these things came to pass, how he is not in prison doing time, and Wycliffe Barnes is not hired over at Westar. He even gets so depressed that he ends up calling Ellie. So we get to see Ellie for the first time, and she's still in Paris. So they're working through the Jim Davis thing best they can. Jock is always in another room. He's busy. He's doing XYZ. He's still very much alive, just not on camera. Let me see if I can speed this up just a little bit. When Sue Ellen gets back to San Angelo, she's been cooped up in this yacht-sized limousine for about 2.5 hours. She needs some fresh air. She needs to get away. She flies out of the car just so she can have a moment to herself. Dusty comes over and she's talking about Kristen, how their mother raised them to be who they are. She wanted the best for them. She was known as Sue Ellen's little sister till she got to high school, and then she became her own thing. She's basically remembering how smart and how brilliant this young girl became, and she's starting to think a little bit more about her own mother and how she conditioned them to be women who went after these sorts of men. Sue Ellen's life has not turned out the best. From the outside looking in, if you compare it to Kristen, yes, she's alive. Yes, she's not on drugs, but she's an alcoholic. She has to medicate the pain in a totally different way. But she read all the books. She did all the pageants. She took all the charm school classes. She aligned herself with the best men. She maintained her beauty, her trim figure, as she says, only to end up fleeing like a thief in the night to get away from that life, to run full throttle away from it. Her sister sort of did the same thing, and look how she ended up. Woke up dead. That's not funny, I'm sorry. But it's that weird sort of thing where you can love somebody and see the good parts of them, and sometimes you don't see it until after the fact. Which brings me to the name of this episode. Gone but not forgotten implies, well, it implies a little bit of tenderness. And I suppose the tenderness towards Kristen in this episode is that she is gone. Sue Ellen knows that maybe she had a baby, maybe she didn't. They're still not really talking about that. But I tend to believe she did because she told more than one person. She told the Knots Landing cast that she was pregnant. So it seems as if Sue Ellen is mourning who she could have been, and she's having this empathy towards her because of where Sue Ellen is at this point in her life. Like, I get it, girl. I mean, that could have been me. Could have been me. But their mom really is a villain in this, if you think about it. You trained your girls up to be a good wife, and that's it. I can't even really blame her. Even as those words come out of my mouth, I realize that's more of a modern thought. I understand that she would have been raising them in the 60s and 70s. We all know things aren't exactly how they are now. So I get it, but it also really, really sucks. So later on in the episode, Pam is absolutely beside herself. She missed that baby so bad. She drives down to San Angelo. And like I said, when she was sitting by the pool, she seemed like she was in a trance. She does not seem to be drinking, but she's definitely out of it. She's not telling people she's leaving. She's not really communicating as much. She is definitely in this weird funk. Sue Ellen is very happy to see her. So they're sitting poolside, feeding baby John Ross. He's not eating grapes today, but he is eating fruit. That kid understands you got to keep your throat moist so that you don't get sick. I get it. He is probably enjoying the last piece of naturally organic fruit in the United States of America that grew without having to put a sticker on it. And they're having a good old time when all of a sudden a helicopter comes floating down. A helicopter, people. I thought it was JR. No, it's Bobby. Bob's pissed. Like, what are you doing here, Pam? She's sitting there shocked, like, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm looking for you. You ain't calling. You ain't picking up the phone. Why didn't you tell anybody you were coming to San Angelo? She's like, well, damn, I'll be home by dinner. That's not what I asked. Why didn't you let anybody know you was leaving? She's basically like, I thought I did. I don't know why I did it. Hey, I'm going to go take this baby upstairs, put him to sleep. She's still in this weird sort of trance, which leaves Bobby and Sue Ellen, who's still wearing her nylons poolside, by the way. It's also weird that nobody's freaked out by being in a swimming pool after they found a dead body in the pool. Anyway, Bobby starts to rip into Sue Ellen a little bit. Like, I wish you hadn't brought my wife into this. She did a B&E with the kid. How is that supposed to foster a healthy marriage, healthy relationship? Sue Ellen's like, first off, it wasn't a B&E. She just took the kid. She already lived there. She didn't break in anywhere. But I needed my baby. You know my baby's better off with me than he is with your brother. Bobby can't really argue that, but nonetheless, he's none too pleased that his wife has been involved in this. It's like, Sue Ellen, you know how ugly nasty this is about to get. She's like, oh, well, bring it on. She can say bring it on with full confidence because she has a very powerful family behind her. She sends JR a preliminary hearing situationship, whatever it's called. She wants alimony and she wants custody of the baby. His plan was to make her look bad, to make her look irresponsible. A drunken woman who didn't want the baby ends up stealing him. Now she's messing with this other man, basically using a little sexism in his favor. How does this look? A mother running off with another man and a baby? That's not a responsible woman. But the clock is winding down. It's getting harder and harder to do that with the sort of support that she has. But you can't count out JR. By episode's end, Sue Ellen hops on a helicopter at the I almost called it the Golden Corral, the Golden Ranch. What the heck is it called? The Sacred Cross in San Angelo. And she's flying to not DFW. She's flying out to Loveville in Dallas so that she can fly out to Albuquerque. That does seem a little bit backwards, but that's kind of how things work. Californians probably understand this better than most, where you might have to go south to go north. I know in Texas you got to fly east to go west. It's a weird thing. She needs to helicopter east to fly out to Albuquerque. Well, the PI has picked up on that because he's watching her every move, and plus it's a big helicopter. Dusty Daddy Dusty wishes her well. You be safe, you be careful. Dusty wishes her well. She makes it to Love Field, no problem. But as soon as she's walking around with the baby, two bohos come up to her and they snatch John Ross. One of the bohos distracts her just very briefly. Mrs. Ewing, hey, I gotta ask you. And then he covers her mouth and yoinks her off to the side. The other one picks up the baby and briskly walks off as to not alarm John Ross Ewing III. He doesn't get very far before he is quickly surrounded by a bunch of roughneck cowhands ready to stomp him out. He don't want no smoke. He really doesn't. So he gently hands over the baby. Turns out that's Dusty and his daddy. They could smell something wasn't right. You think they're going to let this woman and her vulnerable child get on a plane in the middle of nowhere and fly off to a funeral while she's grieving and let her do it all by herself? Are you crazy? Absolutely not. They protect their own. They are establishing, listen, this is the line in the sand. We ain't scared of you, JR. We got time. We don't have time. We're going to make time. And it is so powerful. It is so cute that Dusty is still in his Forrest Gump things, his braces. He don't care. He gonna hop after his woman. If he got the limp to get her, that's what he's gonna do. I respect it. That's a man. And his daddy don't play either. And shout out to the roughneck cowboys who are beating down people willy-nilly in the middle of an airport. They don't show the beat down, but I assure you it happens. Also, I recognize one of these guys as an extra on The Yellow Rose. He literally walked off the set and just walked to this other one. JR's watching this whole thing unfold. He's disappointed. Now Dusty's going to get on the plane with her along with the cowboys, and they're all going to fly to Albuquerque just in case JR wants to pull another stunt. I like it. I like it a lot. Very enjoyable episode, but what would you call this? Back in my day, we'd have after school special sometimes, or it wasn't after school special. It was more like a very special episode. This feels like they wanted to do that, but I think the reality is we need to move on from Kristen. Let's go ahead and grieve her. Let's set up this us versus them with JR and the Sacred Cross people. Let's make sure the audience remembers that Afton set up Cliff. And let's also establish that Pam wants a baby real, real bad. In the bit player department, Donna Culver is settling into her role as Ray Krebs' wife. He's trying to buy her a saddle. Not just any saddle, a silver embossed saddle. I don't know if I've ever seen that or not. My aunt and uncle used to have horses. And I do recall going to like the feed stores and things with them. And there was this big, super life-size plastic horse. I thought it was just a prop, but apparently that's so people can try their saddles out. You sling it over it, then you can sit on it. I am so mad that nobody let me sit on that horse. I was riding the little carousels outside, but I didn't ever see any kids on it. I didn't realize it was a prop. I'm a little bit upset. I might go to Boot Barn, see if they got one. I ain't climbing on no plastic horse, not today, especially not in these sateen pajamas. Anyhow, Lucy and Donna Culver are bonding over the fact that they are with men who have sort of an aversion to money. Like, why can't you just be rich and pretty and marry somebody? Why is it such a big deal? Why does the man have to earn the money? And Lucy's like, I know, right? Why can't they respect us as wealthy heiresses or people who inherited? You know what I'm saying? Why can't we just be rich? Donna's like, I know. But listen, girl, if you want Mitch, don't give up. See, I liked Ray when he was young and fun and country dumb. He's just sitting out breathing in cow fumes, kicking up dust. That's all he wanted to do. Now he thinks he's a wheeler and dealer because his last name is Ewing. She's not adjusting to Ray starting to come into money. Lucy's not adjusting to Mitch's aversion of money. So they come together and they're like, okay, we're just going to be rich. We're going to be fabulous and we're going to stand by our men. I can't say that I'm not interested in this story, but I'm actually, it's not, how do I say this? Mitch and Lucy has been too much back and forth and back. Whatever happens, happens. I'm betting money she's going to have a new Booski in no time. But when it comes to Donna Culver, I really do want to see how this pans out as Ray continues to expand in the business world a little bit more. He's obviously going to be taking over for Jock because we know Jock ain't here. I wonder how long that's going to last though, because she handled the fact that he got the $3 million out. She took that well. She's even okay with him buying her this super fancy saddle. They actually ran into Punk Anderson while they were there. He was buying a new bolo tie and a suit. And he's telling her that her man is about to be rich. They're going to expand those houses in Lubbock. They're so popular, they're going to up the price by $30,000. So seems like money's going to keep rolling in. He's going to be okay. Seems to me like Donna's a little bit uncomfortable with money too. After all, she was married to a wealthy man who handled all the finances, and she just got to sit at his feet and live his life without actually handling the money. So I'm curious to see how she and Ray navigate this. She doesn't seem like she would know what to do with millions and millions, but I'm sure she has a handler or something. Well, all right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Help me name this what is this genre? Is this burying a baddie episode? Is this life lessons of the grown and sexy episode? What sort of, this feels like it should be a special because it's very reflective, or is it just a different way to recap? Text me in the show notes. Let me know what you think, or you can reach me via email at soaplorepodcast@gmail.com. That's soaplorepodcast@gmail.com. Join me next time as we jump back into some vintage primetime soap opera. In the meantime, in between time, keep your head on a swivel. Don't ever go to the airport without a posse of rowdy roughneck cowboys just in case somebody wants to snatch you up. Stay hydrated, stay moisturized, mind your own business, and keep all of your drama on TV.